And it is a very sad day for the country as we mourn the Americans killed in yesterday's deadly attack in Afghanistan.
In a war that's now raged on for 10 years, it's America's darkest day yet. We now know a rocket-propelled grenade struck a military helicopter in the eastern part of the country, killing 30 U.S. troops. 22 of them were Navy SEALs.
Reaction is still coming in from the front lines and from here at home, especially on the base where many of the fallen lived.
We do know the attack happened early yesterday during an operation in a Taliban stronghold. Took place in a mountainous region that's become increasingly volatile. We've got full coverage, and we begin with NBC's Atia Abawi, who is live in Kabul. Atia, good morning.
Good morning, Lester. Well, both U.S. and NATO officials continue to investigate just what went wrong and how yesterday became the most devastating day for American troops in Afghanistan. 30 U.S. service members and 8 Afghans were killed yesterday when their helicopter came crashing down by insurgent fire. Most of the men belonged to the Navy SEALs Team 6, a group most recently credited for hunting down and killing Osama bin Laden. Preliminary reports indicate their CH-47 Chinook helicopter was shot down by the insurgency during a night raid in eastern Afghanistan's Saidabad district of Wardak province, just southwest of the capital, Kabul. The target was a Taliban compound housing insurgent fighters. The American and Afghan special forces were working side by side when their mission took a deadly turn, as their helicopter became the target for the Taliban. It's still not clear if the Chinook was shot down at the beginning or end of the mission.
Helicopters, no matter how they're outfitted, no matter how well they're armored, are particularly at risk at the beginning and the end of operations. When they are inserting troops into a target or extracting them from a hot target, it is very easy to hit them.
The 38 people killed included 22 U.S. Navy SEALs, 5 Army Air crewmen, 3 Air Force airmen, as well as 7 Afghan commandos and an interpreter. A dog, part of the Navy SEAL team, was also killed. President Obama was briefed on the attack and expressed condolences to the families of those killed. Their deaths, he said in a statement, are a reminder of the extraordinary sacrifices made by the men and women of our military and their families, including all who have served in Afghanistan. And although Saturday was the deadliest day for U.S. troops in Afghanistan since the start of the war, NATO deaths have in fact decreased by approximately 20% in the first 6 months of this year compared to last year. The Taliban claimed responsibility quickly after the attacks. They used the deaths and the grief that followed as a confidence-boosting victory for themselves and the rest of the insurgency. Lester?
Atia Abawi in Kabul, thank you. And now here's Jenna.
All right, Lester, thanks. As you can imagine, defense officials are calling the attack a huge loss for the Navy SEALs. Many are based in a tight-knit military community in Virginia that is now in mourning. NBC's Tong Trong is live in Norfolk. Good morning, Tong.
Jenna, good morning to you. This is Navy country down here. Places like Norfolk, Hampton, Dam Neck revolve around the Navy. They're also where many of the elite Navy SEALs train and call home. One of the SEALs killed in the attack was based in Virginia Beach, not far from here.
Ladies and gentlemen, join us in a moment of silence.
At a baseball game in Norfolk last night, this naval community paused to remember the Americans killed in Friday's chopper crash, offering prayers for their loved ones left behind.
We lost some great and brave Americans in the last day or so. It's a real tragedy, and our hearts and minds are with those families. I know that they're suffering really tough right now.
The family of Navy SEAL Aaron Vaughn is mourning his death. His grandmother released this photo yesterday, saying the 30-year-old was a tough warrior, but a gentle man. On Facebook, a prayer page for Vaughn, who is survived by his wife and 2 children. Vaughn is one of 22 Navy SEALs killed this weekend. The elite and clandestine unit is often the tip of the spear in covert military operations.
They work in the shadows, and the sooner they can step back in the shadows, the happier they are.
In Coronado, California, where many Navy SEALs train, hearts are heavy.
It took me a while for it to sink in, and then when it did, I just felt like I was melting. I didn't know what to say or do.
Although the Navy SEALs are shrouded in secrecy, its members recently gained worldwide attention after SEAL Team 6 raided Osama bin Laden's compound in Pakistan, killing the al-Qaeda leader. Military families are no strangers to sacrifice. there's not much that can prepare them for the loss of so many.
These young men are national treasures. They're irreplaceable. You don't find them everywhere. So this was a tragedy for the entire country.
And we often hear about how the Navy SEALs are so close-knit. After losing 22 of their own, they and their families will have to rely on those bonds now more than ever. Jenna?
Tan Chong, thank you. And now, once again, here's Lester.
Jenna, thanks. SEAL Team 6 is so secretive the White House and Defense Department do not directly acknowledge its existence. With us now is NBC News military analyst and retired Colonel Jack Jacobs. Colonel, thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Lester.
Usually we hear of SEALs doing lightning commando raids, surprise raids. We understand this particular group was a quick reaction force called in response to some other troops who got into a firefight and needed help. Does that surprise you?
Yes, it is surprising. That's the operating area of the 10th U.S. Army 10th Mountain Division. And it would be surprising to use SEALs as a quick reaction force. Typically, they're in raids, highly secret missions, acting on intelligence and gathering intelligence. They're in, and then they're out a short time later. Going into an area in which troops are already engaged is a very dangerous thing to do with helicopters in particular, because they are very vulnerable both at the time of insertion and the time of withdrawal. It's very surprising they would do this.
Especially if you bring it in over the firefight as opposed to dropping them off somewhere else.
And have them infiltrate into the area. So it's very surprising that it happened.
The fact that the chopper, though, was coming in and that all of them were killed, does that suggest that the chopper may have been at a higher altitude?
Could have been. If it's close to the ground and it gets struck even by a rocket-propelled grenade, which is actually designed to kill tanks, you would expect that there might be some survivors. The fact that there are no survivors at all may indicate, yes, that the helicopter was at altitude, in which case it might have been struck by a surface-to-air missile.
Is this a known vulnerability, though? I mean, this is the way SEALs and commando teams tend to travel in these helicopters.
Yeah, but they usually have the element of surprise, in which case they're dropping in completely and totally unannounced and not in a situation in which troops are already engaged. So this is a very dangerous situation. Usually troops, SEALs, are on long-range patrols and raids like this. That's what they're used for. The kind of operation the SEALs were engaged in now looks like the kind of thing you use conventional troops.
We're all very intrigued by SEALs, but there were other members of the service on board this helicopter, including the crew of the chopper itself. That in itself is part of Special Operation Command, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Usually they'll use MH-47E helicopters. These are old CH-47s that have been retrofitted with new engines, the latest in electronic equipment, electronic jamming pods, airborne radar and infrared of all types and varieties. And these crews are wedded to the SEALs. They work with the SEALs on all of their operations.
So they know how to fly low and fast at night and all those specialized skills.
And they train with them continuously, and when they practice for missions, they're practicing with the 160.
All right. Colonel Jack Jacobs, good to have you here. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Lester.